Let's do another one from Stingray. He says, name one person you regretted pushing and one person you feel you didn't push enough. With the benefit of hindsight, is there one guy that you think, we dropped the ball on that guy, or, whew, that was a monumental miss?
Sting and Ray. No. Probably, I think, the biggest, unfortunately, Lex is one that comes to mind. Lex is one that you had high hopes for that really wish would have made it. The other one was probably Del Wilkes as a Patriot. I really wish he would have made it. I think both of them had charisma, had talent, had the look, had all the things. Lex unfortunately couldn't talk, but Del could. And I think that loss was the biggest one to me.
Guy W. John says, since it comes up as a topic from time to time, I want to ask Bruce if he knows the first time Taker's streak was mentioned on TV. The answer is WrestleMania 11 when Vince said it during Taker's entrance. I didn't know that. So Guy W. John's here. He's dropping some knowledge on me. I thought the first time that was talked about is the WrestleMania in Canada against Flair. Like when he held up 10 fingers after. That's the first time I remember it being discussed.
WrestleMania, no. 10, no. That was with Bundy, wasn't it?
Well, he's saying 11 here. So yeah, I think that is Bundy.
Yeah, and absolutely not. No. The streak kind of came up from Michael Hayes. Michael had always had tidbits of information that Michael would kind of throw out and say, hey, Undertaker's undefeated at WrestleMania. Something we can do with that. Is there a story there? He would push that all the time until finally that streak had built up to being meaningful, and hence the streak. But it would not have been as early as 11. That I do know.
I do want to go back and watch Undertaker's entrance at WrestleMania 11. I think he's just pointing out that on commentary, Vince may have mentioned it. But of course it doesn't come up again, as you're saying, in creative for a long, long time until WrestleMania 18, I think it was. Yeah.
Sure. Because maybe, WrestleMania had been WrestleMania 7, 8, and 9. Was he in 10? I don't know if he was.
I don't think so.
But maybe he had been undefeated at WrestleMania. That may have been a factoid that was put on Vince's sheet. But
yeah.
Wasn't a storyline by any stretch.
Primus Sunricon says, Bruce, why didn't S.A. Rios do well in the WWF during the Attitude Era? Was it the it factor or his attitude, something else?
No, man, I loved S.A. Rios. Papi Chulo. He was great. He had, he had it. I thought he had charisma. I thought he had a swagger about him. It was just probably maybe the language barrier, maybe getting through to the audience. We put him with Lita. Lita got over in that group. But man, I like Papi Chulo. I thought that given more meat on the bone, given more opportunity to have a storyline that meant something with someone who meant something, I think could have put Papi Chulo in a whole different category.
Not a Garage has a great question. What was the end game for Brian Pillman and Goldust? How was it going to play out? We know at Bad Blood back in 1997, we all got the sad news that Brian Pillman had passed away, but he was knee deep in a pretty big time feud with Goldust. Marlena was in the middle, and this is an interesting storyline. And I don't know that we ever discussed what would the payoff have been, Bruce. Do you recall?
Well, the payoff obviously would have been, probably with Marlena going back to Goldust, but the initial payoff was going to be Marlena going with Brian.
Okay.
Because you had the whole, oh my God, I don't want to be with him. Oh my God, I don't want to be with him. Oh my God, I don't want to be with him. Oh my God, I love him. Chicks. Go figure, right? You know what I'm talking about.
I love that.
You know.
Here's one from.
Hey, you don't know.
I don't know.
You know.
Oh, I do. You're right. You got me.
All right.
Depp wants to know, did Owen have Undertaker's permission to use that tombstone on Bret at WrestleMania 10? I realize on the surface that sounds like a silly question, but finishers are often very protected. And so, hey man, you can't do the super kick. That's my thing. Hey man, you can't do the tombstone. That's my thing. Like in that era. And even today, I mean, it's not like people are just going to start showing up on TV hitting RKOs. I get that. Was that even discussed back in this WrestleMania 10 match? I mean, Undertaker's tombstone is different than Owens and Bret's, but
yeah, it was different.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the same move.
Okay.
Wasn't the same moves, wasn't the same anything. So
I got you.
But I'm sure that Owen probably would have said, "Hey, I'm going to do this. You cool with it?"
Yeah. And if he wasn't, he put some cucumbers in his boots,
Yeah.
Joseph says, when Sable had her moment and she had to drop the WWE Women's Championship to Deborah, was Deborah the first choice to be the one that took the title from Sable in an evening gown match? I think this is when Sable was on her way out, because I think she drops the belt and then she's gone not too terribly long after. But a title switched hands on an evening gown match. Was there another idea besides Deborah that you recall in that era?
Pat Patterson. I don't know. I don't really know.
Women's wrestling was just not the priority back then that it is now. So it's not like you had.
No, it was a different presentation.
Yes.
I think that the athletes that currently are participating are tremendous athletes that their focus is, becoming WWE superstars and being able to perform and steal the show in the ring, not just steal the show because they are beautiful or they have a beautiful body that they show and expose. I think that the female group that we have now are some of the most incredible athletes I have ever seen in my life. You walk through and you see some of the women that are, man, that you haven't even seen yet. You being the general audience, and you go, oh my God, this future's bright. And there's some really hard-working, dedicated young ladies that I'm excited for. And it's just a different presentation and a different world.
Isn't it amazing how different it is just 20 years ago? I know when you take a look at what wrestling was like in 2004, and now you look in 2024, it's a lot different for the guys too. But the approach to women's wrestling in 20 years, boy, it is night and day.
It really and truly is. Both sides. We're not just talking men and women here. You're talking about the men's presentation. Well, has gotten much more competitive. And by competitive, I mean, oh yeah, you can do that. I can do this.
Yes.
You can do that. I'll do it better. The idea of the men talent going out and the snugness, if you will, man, it's different. It's different. I often look over and say to my friend next to me, if the business was then what it is now, not sure that I would have been as apt to get into the physical side of the business at that point in time. It's different, much more physical, much more aggressive, and I think much better. We all look at, this is something else, man, that comes up quite a bit. Everybody looks back, man. You look back when you're a kid, ice cream tasted better, didn't it?
Yes.
Man, hamburgers taste better.
Yep.
Jack in the Box tacos will taste the same to the end of. But you remember and you romanticize.
Yes.
About these matches that were just the greatest thing you ever saw in your life. And you romanticize about, oh my God, I remember Jose and Gino when they went 2 out of 3 falls, and they went 3 falls. By God, and it was bloody in the 3rd fall. It was a body slam. You know what I mean? When there was a time that you would have a match and it would be a hot match, and the finish of the match would be somebody picking someone up as if they're going to give them belly to back suplex and drop them crotch first on the top rope. And that ended the match, and that put a guy out for 6 weeks to go to Japan. They had special ointment over there. But you look at it, man, and you look at, oh my God, that guy, his punches were real. They were the best. No bullshit. They weren't. They were great for the time. They were something that, you loved as a child, because it, in many ways, it was childlike. It was fun, and it was an escape. And again, I always use the term, for those who believe, no explanations needed. For those that do not, no explanation will do anyway. So that just is what it is. And that is it in a nutshell. If you loved the glory years and you loved what you saw as a kid, hold on to it, man. Don't go back and analyze it. Don't go back and look at something from 1972 and say, oh, this was the greatest thing ever. The business, the evolution, the revolution of the business, it has just changed, as has society, as has politics, as has every single thing else around you. It has changed. So when I hear about, by God, Jackie Fargo was, man, Jackie was hot in his day. He was hot in his day. He was hot in Memphis. You take Jackie Fargo and you put Jackie Fargo in Minneapolis, and he wouldn't have drawn shit. You take Jackie Fargo and you put him in Texas, and he wouldn't have drawn shit. Conversely, Vern Gagne. You take Vern Gagne and you take Vern Gagne out of Minneapolis and you put Vern Gagne in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he ain't going to mean shit. So it was a time. Enjoy that time. Enjoy that era that you love. Because I used to compare when I would go to Iowa in the summer. I wanted to see AWA wrestling. And then I saw it. And I thought, this is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. Because I was used to Texas.
Right.
Texas had a different style.
Right.
But people in Minneapolis, for example, they vacation, come to Houston, and they go, oh, this is too wild. This is crazy. This ain't wrestling. There's fighting. It's different. Things change. Let things change. Let things evolve. Let the women who at one time were relegated to be a beautiful valet or a manager, who have turned into not just great attractions in the ring, but main events at WrestleMania that I pay money that I want to see perform. And that's okay, man. Let it go. Just let it go. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think that it allows us to grow, and I think that we should grow. I think that what we hold on to, there's always going to be fundamentals. Not to get on my soapbox, but there's going to be fundamentals that you have to hold on to. Man, selling is a fundamental that is a lost art. And it's an art. It's not just, oh, this guy doesn't sell, man. It's how you sell. It's why you sell. It's when you sell. And it's a lost art. And I believe that done correctly, the art of selling can bring back and revolutionize the business all over again. Now, I'm not saying one punch and the guy goes down and he's down for 8 minutes. We're beyond that. Cat's out of the bag. But the athletes of today are so far superior in many ways to the athletes of yesteryear. And there were some of the greatest athletes that ever walked God's green earth in Harley Race's terms, that adorned our business, that will always be elite athletes. And you look at a guy like Danny Hodge, a guy like Jack and Jerry Briscoe. You look at some of the greats that just came through, Wahoo McDaniel, that were Vern, that were truly great athletes. Would their bullshit hold up today? Probably not.